Are you worried you'll never play guitar like these guys unless you practice a ridiculous number of hours per day? Then I want to show you 10 progress boosters that thousands of my students are using to practice smarter, not harder, and get results like this while practicing just around an hour a day. Progress booster number 1. This one can help you smash through speed plateaus like they weren't even there. You know how in martial art films the hero easily beats a whole army of goons because he only fights one guy at a time? Well, when I watch guitar players practice, I often see them do the equivalent of taking on the whole army of goons all at once and get their asses kicked all over the place by trying to focus on their picking and their fretting at the same time. See, when you play through a lick using both hands, the sound of the notes and the motions of your fretting hand distract your mind and your ears from focusing on what your picking hand is doing. And if you're playing something you've already mastered, that's totally fine. But if you're playing something you're still struggling with, and if that's the only way you ever practice it, it's gonna take you way longer to master, let's say, your picking to the level of someone like Paul Gilbert or John Petrucci, because you never focus on what your picking hand is doing with your full attention. If you want to improve way faster, take 15 minutes to practice your lick with each hand separately and work up to the same tempo at which you can play with both hands. So picking hand only without fretting the notes, like this, and fretting hand only without picking the notes, like this. This will feel very hard at first, and don't do this with kids around, by the way, because you'll probably be swearing quite a bit while you're doing it for the first time, but it's almost impossible for your speed not to jump when you're done. Progress booster number 2. In the movie 50 First Dates, Adam Sandler's character dates this girl who has been in a car accident that left her with no short-term memory. So every day, Sandler has to make her fall in love with him all over again because she has no memory of who he is. Sorry for ruining the plot for you, but this is important. Because for years, my guitar practice used to go in circles exactly like that. I'd struggle like hell to get a lick up the tempo one day, and then the next day I couldn't even play it at a fraction of the speed I thought I already had in the bag. So off I'd go to practice it all over again. Here's a trick that helped me to finally stop wasting time on this. When you're practicing with a metronome and you think you're ready to speed up from a tempo, don't. Stay at that speed for a good 3 to 5 minutes longer and make that tempo harder to play at without making it faster. For example, you can play the lick unplugged. You can play it standing up. You can move your lick to the lowest or the highest parts of the guitar to make it a little extra awkward for your fretting hand. You can pick the notes super hard while staying relaxed in the rest of your body. When you do any of these, you have a much greater chance to fix any lingering weaknesses you still have at that tempo before you speed up from it. This way you can just learn your lick once, be done with it, and have way more time left to practice other things. Progress booster number 3. Would you find it easier to practice guitar if your day suddenly had 26 hours in it?
It's a bullshit question.
Well, believe it or not, this is very possible. Here's how. Grab a pen and paper and make a list of all the things you do each day where you don't have the guitar in your hands, but you're also not working or spending time with family or doing anything else that's important. When you add that time up, it'll likely be at least an hour or more each day that lesser people just simply waste. But you, the smart, sexy guitar playing beast who hits the like button, you can use that time to become a better guitar player. You can train your ear with ear training apps. That's a perfect fifth. You can study music theory.
Why augmented chords are dissonant?
You can learn scale patterns by fretting your fingers over your picking hand forearm. You can air guitar proper picking motions to develop new technique habits faster. You can even memorize your whole guitar fretboard while you're doing the dishes. You can create rhythm patterns for riffs or hum over backing tracks to create melodic ideas. What you do is not really the point. The point is to bolt on this bonus practice time to your day by planning out these mini practice sessions away from the guitar ahead of time. This way you don't waste your hands-on practice time working on skills for which you don't need your guitar. Progress booster number 4. So years ago, I'd watched this clip from a Paul Gilbert solo. Drooling with envy, but not at his speed or accuracy, it was at how effortless his playing continued to look and feel even as he increased to his top speeds. When I would start playing slowly and gradually get faster, with every new BPM increase, my playing felt like adding more weight to the bar when you're bench pressing, until wham, I just reached a tempo beyond which I couldn't go. This went on for years, until one day I was playing around with a pentatonic scale and 16th notes at a moderate metronome tempo. And for whatever reason, I slowed it down to playing just one note per click at that same tempo. and my first thought was,
these long notes sure do feel much easier than my 16th notes. What if I could make my 16th notes at this tempo feel just as easy?
and so I jumped back to 16th notes, and of course, I felt way more tension everywhere. That was when I got the idea to simply stay at that moderate tempo I was at, and alternate between playing quarter notes and 16th notes until the two note values felt equally easy. This idea of matching the ease of longer notes to your faster or shorter notes at the same tempo has been a game changer that helped me and thousands of my students break through countless plateaus and save an insane amount of time. Progress booster number 5. This one will pretty much guarantee you never let the day go by without practicing, no matter how busy you are. It also makes all your friends envy your self-discipline, even though it takes no discipline to pull off. There's this French dude, Philippe Petit, who back in the 1970s flew to New York City, rigged a high wire between the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center, and walked on it for 45 minutes straight before turning himself in to the cops. And when the reporters were asking him later, what made you do it? He just shrugged and said, I see 3 oranges, I juggle. I see 2 towers, I walk. Or, to put it more simply, he was saying, I do it because it's who I am. And in my experience, when you see your guitar playing as much a part of who you are as Philippe saw all that crazy shit, practicing takes no discipline at all, because it goes from something you try to squeeze into a busy day to something you plan your days around. And when you make that shift, it almost takes more effort not to practice for an hour a day or 30 minutes a day than to do it. Progress booster number 6. Wouldn't it be nice if you could pinpoint and fix sloppy guitar playing mistakes without wasting time slowing down and gradually working up to speed again? You can. All you have to do is follow the Yngwie rule. And the Yngwie rule goes like this.
And everybody thinks like I'm completely full of it when I say this, but this is the truth. They ask me for advice, I go, play with the ears, play with the ears. When it sounds good, it's good. If you good ears, you'll know when it's good, yeah?
Here's how you put this idea into practice. Play the lick you're working on at your normal speed or close to it, but zoom in mentally on just a single note or just a couple of notes. Ignore all the other notes and just let them be sloppy if they're sloppy. And as you focus on the notes you chose, you either make sure they're clean or you ask yourself what's not clean about them so you can make the adjustment in real time to make them cleaner. When you're done, rotate your focus to the next couple of notes and repeat the process until every note is clean. Progress booster number 7. There's a scene in the movie My Cousin Vinny where Vinny is woken up in the middle of the night by a screeching owl.
What the f is that?
So he runs outside with a revolver, fires all 6 shots in the air without aim, and swaggers back inside all proud of himself while the owl is like, F you, I'm still here, bitch. This is exactly how guitarists waste an obscene amount of time trying to fix some problem in their playing by firing off countless repetitions of an exercise during a practice session without ever checking to see if each rep they're doing is actually making the lick sound better. And this kind of practicing is exactly why you might be putting in an honest effort to improve your playing each day, but feel like you're just spinning your wheels and not getting anywhere. You can improve so much faster if you simply pause between each repetition. Play back the previous one in your mind and ask yourself how the notes are sounding, or check if your hands are moving closer to the way you want them to relative to the previous rep. And yes, you will do fewer repetitions doing it like this, but one of these intelligent reps with a bit of feedback tacked on at the end is worth 1,000 of the mindless ones, and it'll help you improve so much faster. Progress booster number 8. Your warm-up time is a waste of time, unless you do it like this. Back in college, I was so busy with school and a part-time job that I was lucky if I had even 45 minutes to practice. And I'd spend at least 10 minutes of that limited time doing your typical John Petrucci rock discipline finger warm-up drills, which ate up a bunch of time, but did nothing to help me improve with the things I actually wanted to practice. Then one day I had a crazy thought. What if I just took the same things I intended to practice for the day anyway, but made them challenging to play even slowly and use them as my warm-up? So my warm-up started to look more like this. I'll take a lick I plan to work on for the day, but play it at a slow tempo in half notes, so 1 note every 2 clicks. And my goal would be to make sure that there's no noise at all between notes, or I'd focus on the timing. I'm playing right on top of the click, or I'd simply pay attention to all the same technique details that you're told to watch out for when you do your typical warm-up drills. This made it way more likely I could play them with better technique at faster tempos, and it made sure I never practiced mindlessly because I always had something to focus on that related to my goals regardless of the tempo. Progress booster number 9. Psst. This is probably the best one in this video. You ever wish there was a single practice schedule you could just follow and get better all the time? Well, this picture here is the closest thing to that, and it has never once failed to help any of my students play better when I taught it to them. And it works like this. Choose the thing you want to practice and write down 6 or 7 areas of your playing you want to improve while you're practicing it. But then, instead of focusing on each of those areas separately on a different day of the week, you play your exercise over and over, but every couple of minutes, you rotate your focus from one area to the next. And when you do, change something about either how fast you're playing, or what hand you're looking at, what you're listening for, or even the way you are playing the exercise. Okay, here's a real brief demo of how you might practice this way. I'm gonna go through it pretty quick, and I'm gonna put annotations on the screen so you can see exactly what's going through my head as I switch focus from one area of playing to the next. Now, how you focus on each area is beyond the scope of this video, but I can help you with that if you're a student of mine. Check the description. But this focus rotation model is a game changer that you'll be crazy not to use to improve way faster. Progress booster number 10. One of the things that used to drive me crazy when I was getting my technique together was looking at all the great players and wondering,
damn it, their motions look so different from each other. Which of them should I copy?
So I'd just pick one player to emulate the motions of for a few weeks, and when that didn't help me pick any faster, I'd copy the next guy and keep going like this, failing over and over again. Until I discovered this now dead genius billionaire who had a very unusual way of solving problems like the one I was having. When you are unsure of the right way to do something, like the proper way to move your hand to pick fast, you can invert that problem and ask, what are the worst picking mistakes you need to avoid that are guaranteed to keep you slow and sloppy forever? And in the process of steering clear of those mistakes, your technique improves very fast. And that's why you should watch this video next, where I lay out 16 of the worst picking mistakes I've fixed in thousands of my students that help them pick faster and cleaner almost immediately. Watch it next.